The free $20,000 MLB 10 Runs for Free Cash contest is now live at SBRforum.com. What is the contest? It's simple. Each day in a designated SBR Forum post, you pick one team that you think will score 10 or more runs that day. You qualify to win $100 that day if you are correct. Each day the game continues, you pick another team. And every time your team scores 10 runs, you'll be adding onto your total score. The contest is split into 3 segments, and at the end of each segment, the top scorers split $2,500. And at the conclusion of the contest, there's even more cash up for grabs, in total over $20,000. And I know what you're thinking. You can just pick the Yankees every day and win. No, you can only pick the same team once per week. Check out the link in the description for more info and see you in the SBR Forum for the contest.
Folks, welcome into SportsBookReview.com. It's Monday. It's Labor Day, yes, and an even earlier time today to talk some Major League Baseball. Why? Because we do this for the people out there. That's what I drove 2.5 hours this morning to make sure I was home to get after this Major League Baseball card. Hopefully your weekend was profitable on Labor Day. I'm Donnie Seymour, Jason Radowitz, and Kyle Purviance. We are the SportsBookReview.com Major League Baseball team, and we are ready to get started today. Jason, how's it feel out there today, huh?
Yeah, it feels good. I think I've only had like 1 or 2 official plays in the last 2 weeks, just from different scratches and, different rainouts and all kinds of things, getting a house. And so I haven't had an official play in quite some time. So we got one today. We're going to get after it. And I think that's one of the most exciting things about today.
No doubt about it here. It's having some fun. Kyle having some fun on the golf course, off the golf course. What happens around here on SBR? How you feeling today on a Monday?
I feel good. I feel like the universe is unfolding as it should. I think it's a great call by everyone behind the scenes getting the show early, because what happens when we have all these early games? They always go, why didn't you start early? And then we tell them no. Well, today, of course, we are men of the people, so I'm excited to be here. I won't say it's the best card I've ever seen in the world, but there are a couple spots that I like here. We appreciate, of course, everyone being in the chat box, and hope everyone's enjoying their Labor Day.
Oh, certainly. If you see the rundown there on the right side of the screen here, if you're taking a look, in-game live updates, which usually we would have had about 7 of those by the time we started the show, but we moved it up. And also, as you see, the games that we picked out, the Giants, Dodgers, and Mariners games, they're all later tonight. But we are going to go and hit all these cards. We'll still keep the same flow and get after it the same way we always do here. But now we're heading into September here. You have a lot of interesting stuff here in Major League Baseball, particularly with the wild card race. Who's going to win divisions? Who's lining up? Even we're getting to the point in the season where the temperatures start to cool off a little bit. And yes, when you have guys in the bullpen or up at the plate, I thought this guy was going to play tonight, or I thought this guy was going to look. A lot of these teams are out of it, just trying to see if some of these kids are major league ready. So try to step around those landmines. So we'll skip over the in-game live updates. Why? Because there aren't any in-game live updates. And we're going to start right off here with the Giants and the Colorado Rockies. If we take a look at this ball game and set everything up here for us, that is Gausman versus Freeland, 4:10 start this afternoon. 11s across the board have most outlets. You also have a big price drop here. Gausman opened up at 171 offshore, now sits at 143. FanDuel opened up at 180. That's down to 152, Jason. I was trying to find a way and say, hey, one of these teams is going to be able to hit, but I don't like the way these teams match up per se. It's hard to take unders at Coors, but I got to tell you, I would be leaning towards the under 11 today, Jason. What are you thinking here?
So both pitchers, they both looked really good. Freeland, this is a guy that we kind of crapped on all, the beginning of the season when he was struggling. Now a 3.43 xFIP in his last 30 days, 29.4% strikeouts, and under 6% walk. So he's been really good. Lefties do have a 412 weighted OBA, but that's just 19 plate appearances, and he is a left-handed pitcher. So for the most part, the Giants should have plenty of righties in there, and then Freeland's been a lot better against them. And Gausman, he's been really good as well, like I talked about, 3.90 xFIP and 23.4% strikeouts. Also, though, to the righties, he has struggled a little bit, 421 weighted OBA, ISO 167. I kind of agree with the line movement here. The Rockies, they're a little bit different at home, as we've seen. They had a couple good games against the Braves, and helped the Phillies and the Mets get back into the division race and whatnot. So the Giants, they come out and they win games when you don't expect it the most, like last night. But Colorado at home, I think they have the better matchup offensively. They got some good righties in the lineup like Story and Crone. Maybe the Rockies as an underdog price here, not a bad look, but then again, like you don't want to really go up against the Giants here and bet against them with the Rockies. So yeah, this is a game I'm going to be staying away from. But I think the Rockies do have a chance, at least in the first 5 innings.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out here because you're right. Freeland's a lefty on the mound. If you're stacking right-handed batters, he's done fairly well against those. A 244 weighted on base percentage and an ISO power number of .130. Flipping it over from Colorado's perspective, you get Gausman on the mound. So if you can line up some right-handed bats against him, you can do some damage. But, 11's a high number here, Kyle. Any ideas or what we're looking at here today between the Giants and the Colorado Rockies from your angle?
I'll tell you, the first thing that jumped off the board was that Giants team total sitting at 6, and it's weird. I don't think I've ever said. I think I said this one time earlier this year, and we got lucky. They gave up 5 runs in the first inning, and ended up hitting. But that under 6, the Giants just aren't a lineup or a team that scream, "Hey, we're going to go get 7 runs for you." No matter who's on the mound, right? That's just not the kind of team they are. So I sort of like the under 6 runs for the Giants team total. I know that's a little different than what we normally do on the show here. And I'm going to say this as well. Colorado, a different team at home. Gausman has not been this dominant force over his last 5 starts recently. It's been a little bit mediocre. It's no disasters here, but we're talking 33, 20, 22, and 30, a 43 and a 30 in his last 2 against Colorado. That's not a 7-8 inning, shutout with 7 or 8 strikeouts. That's a pretty mediocre performance. Kyle Freeland was pretty good in his last start against the Giants, putting up a 43. So the Rockies are certainly live here. They are live dogs. I do agree with the line movement when you sort of take into account how Gausman has sort of looked over the last 30 days or so. He does have a nice low-weighted 640 3-year OPS. I think the Rockies are live dogs, and I have more interest than usual in a team total under 6 for the Giants. It just seems too high for that type of team.
Dodgers also fighting out with the Giants. They're going to take on the St. Louis Cardinals today in St. Louis, 4:15 start, East Coast time. Scherzer versus Michaelis on the mound. Taking a look, and once again, 200s, 215s, 220s across the board. A low total as well. 8 opened up off short, down to 7.5. And that's just a derivative here of the Dodgers feel like they could probably, score 2 or 3 runs and come away with an easy victory today. We'll see if that plays out. Your thoughts here on the Dodgers and the Cardinals, Jason?
Yeah, I agree. I think the Dodgers should be able to score 3 runs, especially in the first 5 innings against Michaelis here. You go to his 3 starts since returning from his forearm injury, 5 innings against the Pirates, took a 4-0 loss, allowed 2 runs. Pirates again, 4.1 innings pitched, 3 runs on 8 hits, and then his last start against the Reds, 3 innings, 5 hits, 4 runs, just 3 strikeouts in that game. So not a guy with a lot of strikeouts, xFIP high, nearing 5. A lot of hard contact, line drive percentage, 31.7%. That's a lot of line drives. And you're going up against this Dodgers lineup. Obviously, this Dodgers lineup has a lot of potential when it comes to line drives and hard-hitting baseball. So also, Michaelis also just getting 36.6% ground balls. Same kind of thing with the Dodgers. They don't hit many ground balls, 35.4%. So I like the Dodgers here, I like their offense. I think they get the job done. Because of the line movement going down from 8 to 7.5, you can now get the Dodgers over 2 in the first 5 innings at -135. So the Dodgers score 2 runs, it's a push. They score 3, you get the win. That's a lot of insurance for a Dodgers offense that, from top to bottom, they're really looking good. All you need is 2 runs in the first 5 innings to at least push and not lose your money. I think that's a really great bet right there.
Yeah, watching Max Scherzer, particularly over the last month here. I mean, absolutely sensational stuff here, Kyle. 2.56 xFIP number, striking out close to 38% of the batters he's faced. Take a look at the, over 100 batters, 65 to lefties, 45 to righties. Weighted on base percentages, 265, 103. ISO power numbers, 117.023. It's so hard just to go in like, hey, if they're on the road, so I'm going to fade and take a decent price down. Count me out anybody fading Max Scherzer at this point, particularly with the Dodgers behind him.
Yeah, I was actually pleasantly surprised when I started looking. There wasn't a lot I loved, and I'm like, oh God, Scherzer versus Michaelis. This is going to be, if I take the run line in the first 5 innings, it's going to be -200. When I woke up, which wasn't that long ago, obviously out here on the West Coast, it was -130. Now it's -135. Dodgers in the first 5 innings. I mean, Jason just touched on it. Michaelis hasn't even gotten to the 5th inning, and you look at his run totals. He's given up 2, 4, 3. Do we expect Max Scherzer to give up 3 runs in the first 5 innings? I certainly don't. 55 or more in 4 straight starts against the Dodgers. It's the lowest weighted 3-year OPS on the card. And for that matter, when I was looking at a prop of the day today, this game I was focused on, it was hard for me to decide, do I want the under 3.5 strikeouts for Michaelis or the over 7.5 strikeouts for Max Scherzer. I think they're both nice plays. Dodgers in the first 5 innings, probably my favorite play today. We'll have to wait and find out when we get to best bets on the board. But I think you're getting a low number. Scherzer versus Mikolas, to me, is the biggest discrepancy in terms of starting pitchers on the card. The Dodgers lineup obviously exponentially better than the Cardinals. I know Arenado and Goldschmidt, but who else really scares you? Maybe O'Neill in that lineup. The Dodgers better versus righties. Of course, Mookie Betts is. I think they score early off of Mikolas. Dodgers minus 0.5 in the first 5, minus 135 makes a ton of sense to me. And I like the under strikeouts for Mikolas and the over strikeouts for Scherzer.
You say Kikuchi on the road today to take on the Houston Astros. That is also versus McCullers, the righty. Big numbers again across the board. Well over 200 at most outlets. FanDuel at minus 215. You got DraftKings at 200. Also got Bet Rivers in PA, 210. Parks Casino, PA, 210. Offshore here, 195. And 8.5 across the board. Kikuchi, look, he's a lefty. Houston tends to hit lefties very well. Kikuchi's numbers are decent over the past 30 days, or I should say over the second half of the Major League Baseball season. I do see this as a possible chance for a team total look at Houston. Stayed away from it a little bit here, but that is a big price point to pay. Seattle's still in the hunt here at this point, Jason. Thoughts between Seattle and the Houston Astros?
Yeah, like you said, the Mariners are right there, and they're competing against the Astros. It's becoming a little bit of a rivalry here as well. But like you said, the Astros, they've been hitting lefties really well. The weighted OBA, 354. They're striking out as a unit, 14.2%. I mean, from top to bottom, Altuve, Brantley, Bregman, Alvarez, Gurriel, Carrera, Tucker, all of them are striking out 12.2% or less against lefties in the last 30 days. So the ball is going to be in play against Kikuchi. And Kikuchi, 5.73 xFIP in his last 30 days. He did have a really good start against the Astros in his last start, but it's been kind of a hot and cold thing for Kikuchi against the Astros. He's had some games where he's went 7 innings, allowed no runs, other games where he's allowed 5 or 7 runs in those starts. So they just saw him. They got, they couldn't, score against him. I think now you go back at this game, I think they have a different game plan. Can't be any worse than their game plan before. And I think they get the job done here offensively. So I'm looking at 2.5 in the first 5 on the team total for the Astros at minus 110. A fair price for the Astros. I think they can get at least 3 in the first 5 innings.
Yeah, you got some high weighted on base percentage guys. Altuve and Brantley, usually one of two more of the stronger bats in Major League Baseball. Don't fare too well, at least over the past month versus left-handed pitching. But after that, 538, 349, 352, 391, 449, 390, 406. I mean, you could tell those numbers are extremely elevated. Also, keep in mind, Kikuchi, not a big strikeout guy. That K percentage versus lefties is sensational from a batting perspective for the Astros. Kyle, taking a look at this game between the Mariners and the Astros. Any looks from you here?
Yeah, I mean, you touched on it. So Kikuchi, not a high strikeout guy. The Astros, on the flip side of that, strike out the fewest of any team in baseball. And much the same that Kikuchi's had these up and down starts. Sometimes it's good against Houston. Sometimes it's mediocre. It's been the same for Lance McCullers against Seattle, right? So this game gets a little difficult. I do think an over is a decent lean. I do like the Astros here. Some people talked about the Astros in the first 5 innings. I don't mind that play. I don't know if I love it enough to make it official. We are going to talk about this game a little bit more here. It's a pro move in the odds boost round because I do think they are included in an interesting odds boost that were kind of tough today. I lean the Astros. I've got 7 of the projected 8 hitters with an advantage of 23% or more. I do think their team total is live. The Astros versus lefties, to me, profile better than do the Mariners versus righties. And that includes some. Now, I know Michael Brantley, obviously, he's better against righties, but the big power guy, right? Yordan Alvarez, we've talked about this several times. He is exponentially better against left-handed pitching, even though he's a left-handed batter. I mean, we're talking about 55 points higher. So I like his home run prop. I like when the middle of the order has a big advantage. I think the Astros get it done here. I don't mind him in the first 5. I don't mind him full game. And I like that Yordan Alvarez home run prop. 5 of 16 in his career, 5 of those hits, 2 of them were home runs.
There you go. Let's slide it down. Value menu wagers here. And as we keep it, try to get some cash in our register today. Toronto and the New York Yankees, where I'm going. That's a 105 start coming up, so fairly quickly. Obviously, the lineups are out today, and I like what I see here, particularly from a Toronto perspective, going up against Jameson Taillon. 5.20 xFIP number over the past 30 days. Where is he being damaged up from the right-hand side? He's got some big-time right-handed bats, those Toronto Blue Jays. Springer, Simeon, Guerrero, Bichette, Hernandez, Gurriel, Jansen, and Smith lined up. So if we take a look at the weighted on base averages, over 326 of those 9 batters are over 320, and a lot of them elevated even higher. Maybe Jamison Tyone leaking a little bit of oil, small ballpark here. Sometimes we do like to shy away from betting these early afternoon baseball games, but I like what I got here. No reason for me to believe that Toronto can't get the 5 runs in that small ballpark. I'm going to go value menu wager today. Cheap juice, too. 4.5 minus 105 at BetMGM. What are you looking at today, Jason?
We talked about this earlier in the Dodgers and Cardinals game. Like the Dodgers over 2 in the first 5 on the team total at minus 135 via points bet. Again, you get that insurance, you get that 2. So if they only get 2, they don't get that 3rd run. You get your money back, and of course you get that 3. You get the win there. So I love the Dodgers here. I think the lefties can do some damage in that lineup against Michaelis, and the rest of the lineup should be able to do some damage as well.
Kyle, value. Where are we going today?
I'm going for a little bit of pain today. NFL season's back. Donnie and I talk about pain quite a bit during the football season, and we're bringing it back today. I'm going to go with the Kansas City Royals team total over 4.5 minus 135 over at BetMGM. Look, we're essentially getting a bullpen game today from the Baltimore Orioles. Do you know which team in baseball has the highest ERA in terms of bullpen? It's not the Rockies anymore. It's not the Diamondbacks anymore. It's not all these teams we thought. It's the Baltimore Orioles. You got Lowther opening on the mound today. I expect Kansas City to score some runs. Of course, it's the Royals. This is a bad team, and you never know what will happen. That's why it's on the value, man. You don't want to get too crazy with these teams playing for nothing. But Royals team total over 4.5 minus 135 makes a lot of sense. And I do like home run props for a couple of guys. I think both Carlos Santana and Salvador Perez, who's making a run at 50 with 41 home runs on the year. I think the home run prop for Perez is live. I think they can get to their team total over 4.5 minus 135 at BetMGM.
I like where we're going today, and that's going to bring us an odds-boosted section here on a Monday, Labor Day, to try to cash in with a nice little price on a ticket. I'm going to go to Fox Bet today, and I'm going to get a little bit over 3-1, plus 333. That is one Carlos Correa and Jorge Polanco each to get at least 1 RBI or more in their game tonight. So let's get some RBIs, knock around Kikuchi here. Polanco, get up, do some damage here. Got a guy that's probably going to be batting 2nd overall in the lineup. He's going to get probably 5, maybe 6 at-bats if things go well. Let's get some RBIs today. I'm going to take that bet again at Fox Bet at plus 333. Jason, where are you leaning today in your odds boost?
So we got the Phillies and Brewers game, and it's going to be Zach Wheeler against Brandon Woodruff on the mound. You got a Fox Bet. I found 8 strikeouts for both players at plus 300, odds boosted from plus 250. So again, Wheeler and Woodruff both to get 8 strikeouts at plus 250, now boosted to plus 300 on Fox Bet. And that's where I'll be going today, with both guys getting 25% strikeouts or more against in the last 30 days.
There you go. Where you going? Where are we going, Kyle? Odds boosting up. What do we got today, huh?
Well, hell, I don't know. Odds boosted. Talk about ego boosted. Shout out to my friend Isaiah Moore in the chat box. You are clearly a smart man, a wonderful man, a beautiful man, and thank you for telling me I look 29 today. I absolutely appreciate that. And one more thing you guys can do for us. Look, we're doing the show early to be men of the people. Can you hit the thumbs up button? 40 people. That's just embarrassing. Let's get that up to 100, please. Hit the thumbs up button. Let's go. So for me in the odds boost, there wasn't a lot of great options for me today. I'll be honest when I look through. I know I say that a lot because obviously the odds boost is my favorite segment of the day. But it is a 3-team parlay. It's 3 favorites. It's over at the FanDuel Sportsbook. We've got the Astros, the Giants, and the Reds to all win, boosted from plus 290 to plus 380. So we're getting 90 cents there. All 3 of those teams, I think, have a clear path to victory. They should be able to get it done. So for me, it made a lot of sense. I expect the Reds and Sonny Gray to dominate Steele and the Cubs. Of course, Gausman, we all would prefer over Kyle Freeland. It's a little dicey. And then, of course, the Astros, I have a slight lean over. So boosted to plus 380 over to FanDuel Sportsbook. I like all 3 teams to win tonight, and you get 90 cents on it.
There you go. Best bets on the Major League Baseball board today. Don't really have a best bet. It is a lot of early stuff, but particularly it's not just because it's early. I didn't like all that much out here, and the best of it for me was the Toronto team total at 4.5. See if I can take that one down. What are you taking a look at, Jason, on your best bet and banker if you will have one today on a Labor Day Monday?
We're going with the Astros over 2.5 in the first 5 and the team total at minus 110 via DraftKings here. Again, Kikuchi, he's been hot and cold against this offense, but like we talked about earlier, there's a lot of guys that can get on base at a high rate, striking out really. The strikeouts are limited. The walks are also high. So yeah, I think the Astros should be able to get the job done here, get 3 in the first 5 innings, the way that they've hit lefties recently. So hopefully we don't get that last week's game where they couldn't score anything against Kikuchi, and this game they finally able to get at least 3 runs.
There you go. What do you got, Kyle? What do you got? Best bets and bankers on a Monday here.
Look, I'm going to that line that I consider too short for Max Scherzer versus Miles Mikolas. I'm going to take the Dodgers minus 0.5 in the first 5 at minus 135. Look, if Mikolas goes out and pitches the game of his life and they hit a 2-run shot and I lose this bet, I know that I had the right strategy here. This was a number that I expected to be closer to 180 or 200. I was pleasantly surprised at 135. So just for me and how my brain works, too hard for me to pass up on that advantage. I think the Dodgers rake off Mikolas early. I like the under 3.5 strikeouts there. If you want to sprinkle a little over 7.5 strikeouts for Max Scherzer, I don't mind that either. Do keep in mind, though, St. Louis, as bad as their offense have been, they're one of the 10 fewest strikeouts in the league as a team, so there is a little bit of risk there. But like the Scherzer over, the Mikolas under, and, of course, the Dodgers minus 0.5 in the first 5, minus 135.
All right, there we go. And by the way, here, odds lightning round. The reason why we didn't get to these first games early is because the script was already set. So now we got about 15 minutes. So we'll go through some hyper-drive stuff here so we can get through some of these games. 1:05 today, first pitch here, and Jason's first one up. New York Mets, Trevor Williams on the mound versus Corbin, the lefty. 9s across the board, some 9.5s as well showing up. Slight favorite here to those New York Metropolitans. What are we taking a look at, Jason, between these two in an NL East tilt?
Yeah, Corbin has been also hot and cold, and you have these 3 righties in the lineup that have been really hot against lefties. Recently, you have Alonso, Baez, and Pilar, if he's in the lineup today, and I think he is. So those 3 guys, they've crushed lefties when it comes to power. So you look at the power from those 3, and I think they'll get the job done against Washington. They've been red hot offensively for what it's worth. So, also Trevor Williams has done a pretty solid job being a filler for the Mets. He's given them a chance to win. So I think the Mets are going to be able to get the win here, as long as they can just get away from Soto and Bell, are the 2 guys that have done really well against the Mets and really on the season against righties.
There you go. All right, let's keep it moving here. Kansas City and Baltimore. Bubic on the mound, the lefty versus the lefty Lothar. How about that one? So you're getting basically a pick 'em across the board. And when you look at these 2 pitchers here in Baltimore, it's no surprise. It's a 10 and 10.5, Kyle, across the board as a total here.
Yeah, I actually think both teams profile nicely. I honestly thought Baltimore would profile a little bit better against Bubic, but it's not as many advantages as I expected to see. We always say Baltimore is sneaky against lefties. I do think both teams can score here. For me, the smart play, as we talked about on the value menu, you're getting essentially a full bullpen day with the worst bullpen in baseball. And for all the Royals' woes, they have some power in that lineup. They can hit. They can get it done. I think the Royals team total is live here. And I don't even mind if you want to take a sprinkle on the Orioles. Let me get the updated number here. It's at 5. It's a little rich for my blood for the Orioles there. I'd rather take the 4.5 for Kansas City. But yeah, I do expect runs here. I think both lineups are sneaky in DFS as well.
All right, Toronto and New York, game I like here. I don't really like it per side per se, but we're not getting a lot of live movement here. Opened up offshore at 135, now sits at 133. Now we're seeing 152s opening up at FanDuel 148, 9.5s and 10s primarily across the board between Ryu and Tyone. And I got to agree with you. If you're looking at 2 powerful lineups here today, I think both of these lineups can stack right-handers and do some damage, and I think that's going to take place. If I was leaning towards a total for the game, I would be going over that 9.5 if I can get it, but obviously I'm sitting on that 4.5 team total already for the Toronto Blue Jays. Jason, what do you think between the Jays and the Yanks today?
Both pitchers have an xFIP of about 5 in the last 30 days, and the Yankees, they're walking 15.3%. They're also not striking out as high as you would expect either. Their weighted OBA is high, and then you go back to the Jays, and their ISO 191. They're also striking out under 20% of the time, walking 8.6. A solid amount of line drives, and ground ball rate is low. So I think both teams get their team total. I think we see the over hit in this game.
Yarborough versus Sale, Tampa Bay and Boston here. Boston is the favorite. Opened up at 140, still sits at 140 offshore at Pinnacle. Here in New Jersey, opened up at 146, still sits at 146. 9.5s across the board today. Sale's put up some good numbers here. We know the pedigree team that Tampa Bay is. When you take a look at Yarborough, not a great pitcher, but can those bats do enough damage for Boston to win this game? What are we thinking here in this one between these two, Kyle?
Well, it's tough, and I'm going to say this. The Rays are the best underdog on the card today, right? By far, they're the best team that's an underdog today. Chris Sale is actually surprising me when I look at the weighted 3-year OPS, 842. It's one of the higher ones on the card, actually. Tampa Bay does profile decent against Chris Sale. In his last 5 starts against his last one's the only one he struggled, so he has put up numbers. This one's really tough for me. I have a slight lean here. It's a dog or pass situation for me to the Rays. Do I think Chris Sale is exponentially better than Ryan Yarbrough? Of course I do. I mean, to me, it's not even close. But they're live. The Rays have hit sale. To me, they're the best underdog in the card, so dog or pass situation. I'll take the plus money on the Rays.
All right, Detroit and Pittsburgh here, 923, 924. Screwball, the lefty on the mound, versus Wilson, the righty. We always like to fade Wilson here, but we're taking a look at two teams here, which you think they would be able to get hits, but then again, offshore Pinnacle, they just moved to an 8 as a total here. Are we going to get a dominant pitching performance out of these two here today, Jason?
Well, Wilson still does allow plenty of home runs. ISO 205 to lefties, 306 to righties. So, yeah, the lineup doesn't look that great for the Tigers, right? 187 ISO, 288 weighted OBA, striking out nearly 27% of the time and just walking 7.5% of the time. So not much to like, but the Tigers, they do have a lot of guys that are able to hit line drives from Baddoo, Scope, Grossman, Candelario, Haas. All of these guys are hitting some solid line drives. So I do like Detroit in this one. Screwball has been a lot better, striking out 30.9% of batters, walking 5.3, ground ball rate high, line drive rate low. So I'm not going to be taking anybody against Screwball right now. He's looked really good. Hard contact a little bit high, but outside that, he's been excellent. So I like Tigers in this one.
Wheeler and Woodruff, Philadelphia Phillies and the Milwaukee Brewers trying to hang on and maybe get back into that playoff race here. If we take a look across the board, minus 145 opening with Pinnacle. That now sits at a 132, minus 152 at FanDuel. That now sits at minus 142, as it seems like there is a jet engine in
Yes,
the
I
background
apologize.
here.
I don't know what assholes out here right now. I tried to yell at them under the... I don't know. They can't hear me. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Seventh across the board. Any thoughts here between Philadelphia and Milwaukee here for you, Kyle?
Well, this is kind of just a stay away game for me. I like the under. Let me pull up the number. The under 3.5 in the first 5. There we go. We got him out of here now. He's flying way off into the sunset. My apologies for that. It's a low number though, right? 3.5 is low. All it takes is a couple bloop and blasts, and that thing is over. But both pitchers profile really nicely. This is the best pitching matchup on the card, obviously. Two teams who can score runs. These are not incompetent lineups by any stretch of the imagination, but they're just two pitchers who profile so nicely. When you sort of look how they've been against the opposing team, I mean, Brandon Woodruff has been sensational against the Phillies. 54, 61, and 43, and no surprise, for the most part, outside of one bad start 3 starts ago. And Zach Wheeler's been great against Milwaukee. A combined 110 fantasy points in his last 2 starts. Both pitchers should be able to deal. I don't expect a lot of runs here. I don't want anything to do with this game in DFS. I think the under 3.5 in the first 5 at minus 110 makes a lot of sense.
All right, Cincinnati and Chicago, Gray versus Steele, 8.5, primary, actually 8s now across the board. They open up at 8.5. Slight favorite here towards Cincinnati. And how about this one also, Jason? 161s at Pinnacle turned into 144s, 168s here in New Jersey, now 156. So my man Steele is getting some money here out in the Windy City, Jason.
Yeah, it's interesting. And, both pitchers really haven't had great success recently when it comes to the analytics. XFIP around 5 for both players, and Steele striking out just 18.2% and walking 11.7%. The weighted OBA high on both sides to lefties and righties, and the ISO really high, 64 plate appearance against righties, and he has an ISO of 228. And in the lineup, you'll see a lot of righties from the Reds. So if that's the case, if they're gonna stack righties against Steele, I like the Reds in the first 5 innings here.
All right, so as we move down the odds board on a Labor Day, having some fun, Minnesota and Cleveland, Ober versus Allen, the lefty on the mound today, 9.5 across the board. Slight favorite here towards Minnesota, up offshore from 110 to 119, and here in New Jersey, 116 to 130. So Ober, Kyle likes to say Ober, making some moves here.
Yeah, and honestly, the highest weighted OPS on the card, 3-year average, is the Twins over Logan Allen. He's not my favorite pitcher. Now, he has looked better in his last 2 starts, way better than he did. He was actually smashed, about 2-3 weeks ago by this exact Twins lineup. Had negative 11 fantasy points in that spectacular performance. Bailey Ober in that game at 25. He's been pretty solid. I do lean the Twins here. I like their lineup a little more. I thought their team total was live, but it's at 5. And it's like, again, I don't know if I'm trusting teams like this to get me to 6 runs to win me bets right here. If you can buy it down to 4.5, I don't mind that. I'd rather prefer get the win at 5 as opposed to a push. If you look in the first 5 innings here, you got the Twins minus 0.5 in the first 5 at plus 105. I do think that's live. They can certainly hit Logan Allen. 2 young pitchers starting to look a little bit better than they did earlier in the year. Slightly into the Twins. And I suppose that team total is slightly live as well.
Last game we'll talk about today, Texas and LAA. That's 9:07 tonight here. Lexi versus Barria on the mound. If we look at Pinnacle Offshore, big line drop here, -148, now turns into a -123. FanDuel, 152 down to 130. So Texas taking on some money against the only thing that matters is Shohei Ohtani hitting home runs. And, hey, Mike Trout. It's September 6th. Coming back yet? What do you think, Jason?
Yeah, so look, Alexi has had his first start on 8:30 against the Rockies. Went 5 innings, allowed just 1 hit, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, 2 ground balls, 9 fly balls on 81 pitches. If you look at his xFIP in that game, there's a 6.80. He walked 16.7% of the batters. Ground ball rate just 18.2%. So it wasn't that great, despite allowing just 1 hit in that game. So, I think a lot of the sharps are looking at this game and saying, okay, Alexi looked really good in his first start. Well, the analytics, you dive deeper into it, even with a 0.00 ERA and a whip of 0.80, he wasn't that great. So, neither offense is great either, but I do think that the Angels probably have a little bit better of an offense in this game, and I would side with the Angels in this game.
There you go. Nice, tidy show here coming to you live on a Labor Day weekend. The fun doesn't stop here on SBR either today because me and Kyle will be back in the chair once again talking some NFL Week 1 football. But before we get out of here today, we always like to clear the bases, let you guys know what we're digging on. To go with me first. Toronto just about to get underway here. Team total over 4.5 -105. I think they can get that done. Also an odds boost. Jorge Polanco and Carlos Correa at FoxBet plus 333. Jason, what are we on today?
So the value play will be the Dodgers over 2 in the first 5 on the team total at -135. We'll go with the Wheeler and Woodruff both to get 8 strikeouts boosted on FoxBet. And then the big play will be the Astros over 2.5 in the first 5 on the team total at -110 via DraftKings.
There you go, Kyle. What you got today? What you got?
All right, our best play of the day, of course, we're going to take that Scherzer-Mikolas advantage, -0.5 in the first 5 at -135 for the Dodgers. In that same vein, like I said, I don't mind sprinkles. I love Mikolas under 3.5 at -105, I think that was at, and Scherzer over 7.5 at -130. Our odds boost, we have the Astros, the Reds, and there was one more team the Giants to win. That's boosted to plus 380 over at the FanDuel Sportsbook. On the value menu, the Royals team total over 4.5 in a bullpen game for the Orioles. That's at -135 over at BetMGM. And our home run props today, God, I'm struggling to remember it, but it is happening. Our home run props today, Michael Conforto, Jason will like that, and his 10 career hits off of, what's his name pitching? Damn it.
Corbin.
Thank you. Yeah, Corbin. 5 career home runs off Corbin. I think Michael Conforto, an interesting home run prop today. Josh Donaldson, Salvador Perez, Chris Bryant, Yordan Alvarez, and Teoscar Hernandez.
All right, boys, out of here on a Monday. We'll be back once again here on Tuesday on the Major League Baseball Show, carrying you right through to September into the playoffs, trying to cash some tickets here. But I think it's time to get you guys back out to your barbecues, have some cocktails, relax, sit back, because tomorrow, hey, we'll be back at it again, and you will be back to work. But we are already back at work on a Monday. That's how we get down here. So thank you guys for tuning in here on a Monday Labor Day show with us at sportsbookreview.com for the Major League Baseball Show. I'm Donnie Seymour, along with Jason Radowitz and Kyle Purviance. We will be back tomorrow on a Tuesday, and as always, good luck on those wagers.